bansa ay 552. Samantalang may 704 na naitalang negatibo sa COVID-19.
Schools remain closed until August 24th because of the COVID-19 scare. And even then, things are not going to be the same.
There will be
How can you instruct the future members of the nation's reserve force in virtual space? Despite the challenges, 334 cadets graduated from the basic ROTC program in core year 2020-2021. How did we do it?
UP Diliman ROTC utilizes both synchronous and asynchronous modes of learning. Synchronous activities are optional rather than required, but they enrich the cadets' experience. Required activities such as modules, assessments, and long exams are all conducted asynchronously. Synchronous PT sessions are conducted every Saturday via Zoom to train our cadets into physical shape. We also conduct optional synthesis sessions via Zoom every 2 training weeks to gauge and deepen the cadets' understanding of the asynchronous modules. Take a moment to explore our LMS and view the courses Military Science 1 and Military Science 2. We post lecture videos from guest lecturers and our own in-house instructional videos created by our own cadet officers. Alternative learning materials are also utilized to the fullest by including more gamified assessments in the lessons in order to make the lessons less theoretical and more experiential. We also hold squad activities to develop oneness and teamwork within a unit. In addition to the initiatives of the cadet officers, the Corps of Sponsors also conduct activities which aim to foster camaraderie, team spirit, and a sense of connection among the cadets. Altogether, UP ROTC has proven that there are ways to train future reservists even in the remote setup. A new journey is unfolding, and we need you to travel with us as we continue to improvise, adapt, and overcome whatever it is that comes our way. Stand up, take the challenge, be a UP ROTC cadet.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the University of the Philippines Diliman Reserve Officers Training Corps presentation of sponsors for the core year 2021-2022. Before we begin our program, here are a few reminders. Choose a place where you have good internet connectivity and that is free from distractions. Prepare your gadget and use earphones for better reception. For cadets, enter your display name in the format platoon number, cadet private, first name, middle initial, surname, 4th class. For parents and guests, kindly enter your full name as your display name. Please stay muted for the duration of the event unless asked to unmute. Please rise for the national anthem.
Pusulong! Kot! Kulay! Go! Tunghol! Kulay!
Kayang magiliw, telas ng sinakalan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa manluluping, di ka pasisingil, sa nagagang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ng bagaw, ay hinagang tulad, awit sa pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na naging. didilig, luman ang araw ng walang pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang ligaya ng pagkay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Baba! Kulay!
Please remain standing for the invocation to be led by Miss Brittany G. Go, the Field Artillery Unit Sponsor 2020.
Almighty Father, we thank you for this opportunity to commemorate the presentation of this new batch of amazing young women that will serve in honor and excellence to the UP Corps of Sponsors. May you give them strength and guidance to fulfill the roles given to them, despite these trying times. May you make them ready to face the challenges that lie before them. We also thank you for the numerous accomplishments and the indomitable commitment of the outgoing batch of sponsors. Please be with them as they continue their journey in life, and that they may do so while carrying what they have learned in the Corps. And finally, we ask that your holy hand be on everyone present and guide them out of harm's way. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. To start today's program, the Assistant NSTP ROTC Coordinator, Second Lieutenant Elmar John O. Anichete, Medical Administrative Corps Reserve.
We are very happy to welcome you to the annual presentation of sponsors for the school year 2021-2022. Thank you for your presence at this momentous occasion. The UP Corps of Sponsors has a rich history and tradition of honor, excellence, and service. Formerly known as the Muses of the Corps of Sponsors has evolved into an organization that serves the university, its constituents, and the community. The presentation of sponsors is an occasion that marks both an ending and a new beginning. For the outgoing batch of sponsors, whose term is ending, this is an occasion to honor and thank them for the service they have rendered to the university. However, it is also a new beginning as this is the opportunity to introduce to the university and its constituents a new batch of young women who will render their time and service. The pandemic has greatly changed the way the Corps of Sponsors manages its interaction, from conducting socio-civic projects and morale-boosting activities face-to-face to conducting webinars and assisting the Corps of Cadets in handling online ROTC. The swift transition from one medium of communication to another was just one of the many concerns the Corps faced. Despite all of this, these young women of the Corps of Sponsors Mayari 2020 pulled through with flying colors. Today, we honor their commitment and service as they pass on the reins to the next generation of sponsors who will continue to uphold and embody the ideals of honor, excellence, and service. The past few months have been filled with preparations and training to ensure this new batch is prepared to take the mantle and uphold the traditions of UP Corps sponsors. This was not without challenges, as this is the first time activities that were meant to build camaraderie, such as lectures, shared meals, and physical training, were adapted to an online setting amidst unreliable internet connections. However, they have overcome the obstacles before them, and today marks the beginning of their journey in the Corps. Join us this morning as we witness their formal entry into the UP Corps of Sponsors.
Thank you, sir. Before we meet the UP Corv sponsors for school year 2021-2022, let's take a last look at the memorable moments of the Corv sponsors Mayari 2020.
Back then, before COVID, things were so much more spontaneous. Working on our deliverables or academics at the sponsors' room and hanging out at the same time. When we got hungry, we'd grab food and would banter and crack jokes over unhealthily greasy fast food. We would train together, running laps around the academic oval, then going directly to the food stalls at Area 2 afterwards to compensate for the energy lost and the fat burned. The highlight of every training day was our sponsors' time with our cadets. We'd get to know their insights about the training, share our talents with them to serve as a break, and at the same time, bond with them through the very short period of fun and laughter. But just days away from our term's first major activities, COVID-19 happened, and life, as we know it, has changed. We're in a pandemic. We're gripped with anxiety not just for ourselves and for our families, but also for those who can't help but be outside because they need food on their tables. It felt as if our core year had been cut short, and our morale suffered. We were hindered by unstable internet connectivity and power outages, the stresses of our academic workloads, and our own personal issues. It was harder to communicate with my batchmates and to accomplish tasks together. And it was harder to solidify the rapport among the sponsors. Nasayangan kami sa mga adventures that we could have gone on together. It was when the university announced the remote learning setup that we had to adjust as well. Our batch is the first to experience long-distance learning, and we encountered difficulties we never imagined. Conducting the virtual sponsors' time and taking care of our cadets remotely, and shifting projects and their respective management online. We took on a more hands-on approach to the training of our cadets when we facilitated their assessments in our first ever learning management system, or LMS. And the remote learning setup gave birth to a more organized preparation and implementation of the sponsors' time when we had to plot the activities for the entire semester beforehand in order to interact seamlessly with our cadets online. Conversations at the complex became a cascade of messages in the GCs that sprang up. We couldn't reach our cadets through the usual face-to-face ways, so we made them playlists with songs and compositions that we hoped would cheer them up. The mode of interaction changed, but the smiles on our cadets' faces and our satisfaction at seeing those smiles stayed the same. Because of the stringent physical distancing measures, we couldn't conduct our usual face-to-face and on-site outreach programs like medical missions. But we could still provide help and assistance to the community through the webinars we conducted. We knew we were the only ones struggling with the new normal, so the first webinar we held was to help fellow students conquer remote learning. Our second one taught us new ways of expressing our love and support in a suddenly online world. And when Typhoon Raleigh devastated the country, we were still able to provide some assistance to our kababayans in Albay. The distance was no barrier to our desire to help. The mode of interaction changed, but the smiles on the faces of those we reached through our webinars and our relief operations, and our satisfaction at seeing those smiles, stayed the same. We had to scrap our earlier plans that were made for the old normal. We rallied and pioneered new ways of doing things that better suited the current setup. Through dedication and teamwork, we were able to adjust and innovate. Despite the challenges, what made us stay in the core was the community, our fellow sponsors, becomes our main or tactical officer, our friends, and the love of service. Our experiences during training and the time spent with batchmates strengthened our determination to develop confidence and venture out of our comfort zones. Even as we faced challenges together, we celebrated too the little milestones together. It's a joy seeing how far we've all come at the end of this chapter of our journey. We stayed because it was worth it. The experiences and relationships we made along the way helped us grow, overcoming the difficulties together as a batch and knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Being a sponsor is a challenging but fulfilling experience. The experiences and relationships I made along the way helped me grow as a person, overcoming the difficulties together as a batch, and knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses. Ako si Brittany Go, Field Artillery Sponsor ng Batch 2020, signing off.
Being a sponsor is a journey. Sometimes it seems so long that you can barely reach the end, or even stop midway. Along this journey, you meet people who make it worthwhile, people who give you the boost you need, and without realizing it, the journey became shorter than you anticipated. It's a road less traveled, and it's a privilege to be part of this journey. Ako si Micaela Marie Tambawan, ang Rescue Unit Sponsor ng Batch Mayari 2020. Signing off.
Being a sponsor is an opportunity for growth. I was able to do things I never thought I could and become someone whom I've always wanted to be. I've always looked for a role model without seeing that I can be that ideal person myself. If it weren't for my batchmates, I wouldn't have lasted this long. Ending my term with them is such a great feat that I will always be grateful for. Ako si Maria Nicole na Estrogalang, Rayadillo Unit Sponsor ng Batch Mayari 2020. Signing off.
Being a sponsor is a test of commitment. There will be days when you love what you do, and others when you just want to give it all up. But despite it all, you have to remember the reason why you committed to it in the first place. It was the community I found that made me stay. We don't just bear the hardships together. We celebrate even the little milestones. And it's a joy seeing how far we've come at the end of this chapter of our journey. Ako si Patricia Baltazar, the Bravo Company Sponsor 2020. Signing off.
Being a sponsor requires the confidence that you can take on any challenge and learn from it. I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. The something that I can do, I ought to do, and by the grace of God, I will. This quote, unity, was one I learned in the Corps, and it's been my mantra ever since, especially when being a sponsor is a little harder than usual. It also makes me feel a little less lonely because it reminds me that I'm not just in a team, I'm in a family. Ako si Francesca Helene Cagape Banyaria, ng Alpha Company Sponsor ng Batch Mayari 2020, signing off.
Being a sponsor is an avenue to unleash your highest potential. It gives you an opportunity to serve the people and make a difference. I am Ricky Joy Laurente, Core Logistics Sponsor 2020. Signing off.
Being a sponsor helps you grow and build resilience. My experiences during training and the time spent with my batchmates helped me strengthen my determination to overcome challenges and gave me opportunities to develop confidence and venture out of my comfort zone. No one is an expert right from the beginning, so the willingness to try is already a step closer to leveling up your skills and expanding your limits. But this is not where it ends. Persevering to reach your goals, taking responsibility for your words, and making use of every experience as a learning opportunity are what completes the fun and meaningful stay in the Core. Ako si Rachelle Carlos, Core Intelligence Sponsor and Core Operations and Training Sponsor 2020. Signing off.
Being a sponsor is an honor and a challenge I will never regret getting into. It was a journey of ups and downs, on a road less taken. A road of learning and development. A road of exploration and adventure. A road of responsibility and camaraderie. A road that makes friends and families. A road that makes beautiful memories. And a road of honor, service, and excellence. In this journey, we have faced a lot of difficulties. And as for me, I stayed because I have grown to love the Core, its community, my co-sponsors, Mom Char, and my friends. It was a long road, still a road less taken, but always, I will say, a road worth taking. Ako si Karen Claire L. Avenido, ang Deputy Core Sponsor ng Batch Mayari 2020. Signing off.
Being a sponsor is a work in progress. You'll continuously be learning and developing yourself throughout your term. And I hope that, like myself and the other sponsors, when you do come out in the end, you've accomplished something that you'll be proud of. Ako, si Julinard Maritinho Deloso, Core Sponsor ng Batch Mayari 2020, signing off.
And now, as she prepares to step down as core sponsor, Miss Julinard Marie T. Deloso bids farewell.
To our esteemed guests of honor and speaker, to our Commandant and Department Head, Colonel Jaime R. Dituin, General Staff Corps, Infantry, Philippine Army, Sir. To the Assistant Commandant, Major L.M. Peñaflor, Field Artillery, Philippine Army, Sir. To our Administrative Officer, Attorney John Boronia, Sir. To our snappy Training Assistant, Vanguard Elmar John Anichete, Sir. To our Tactical Officers, especially to the Tactical Officer for sponsors, Ma'am Charmaine Doroteo. To the DMSD staff, parents, friends, cadet officers, cadets, my fellow sponsors, both incoming and outgoing, ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary guests, good day to all of you. It is a great honor to be with you all on this special day. For our batch, it has been a long time coming, but we're finally here now. And although I know today is a celebration of the induction of the new sponsors,
I want to extend my sincerest gratitude to all the people who helped our batch along the way. To our Commandant, Colonel Jaime Ardituin, for endorsing our virtual activities. I wish we could have met face to face. To our former Commandant, Colonel Arvin Arlagamon, Sir, you are an inspiration and prove that there's still good and honor in the system. To our Administrative Officer, Attorney John Baronia, Sir, thank you for your constant support and guidance and the belief that we can even be better. To the MSC staff, Kuya Jeno, Kuya Leo, Ma'am Rose, Ma'am Lauren, Ma'am Che, Ma'am Anne, and the many others who are with us. To our tactical officers, particularly TA, Vanguard Terado, and Vanguard Galapon for always looking after us, especially Vanguard Terado who check up on us. To the Vanguards who supported us in our activity, to Vanguard Alex Tamayo and Vanguard Yanimador who taught us our basic self-defense. To Vanguard Butch who brought us on his medical missions that ultimately inspired me to take up a medical degree. And of course, to our partners in crime in the Corps, cadet officers who have always graciously had our back. Thank you for accommodating us even in the most difficult situations. Like us messaging you in the middle of the night for something needed as soon as possible. You've been very understanding. Thank you too for all the chismes, for all the gala, the outings, the time they've spent together, and so much more. Sa alumni sponsors na parating binubulabog namin, maraming salamat po sa lahat. Sa lahat ng pasensya, sa lahat ng guidance, the experience, the wisdom, and in Ma'am Camille's case, the memes that shared us and helped us get through every obstacle. To Batch 2019, na sobrang solid ang support, at kay Ma'am Tabel and Laika, special mention sa inyo, for making our POS possible. And last, but certainly not the least, to our constant, to our mentor, our second mother, our number one critic, and occasionally our guidance counselor, Ma'am Charmaine Doroteo. Ma'am Char, I value the tough love you give us that whipped us into shape and made us better versions of ourselves. I value too how you would treat us like adults, which made every chance a learning opportunity. I just wanted to know that I'll make sure that whatever I learn from the Corps, and especially from you, I will bring wherever I may go. To be honest, there are so many things that I'm very grateful for, but it's either because words are too flimsy or too finite to hold my gratitude, so I'll go back to basics. Thank you so much for being there. And most of all, I would like to take this opportunity to express my appreciation of the loyalty, perseverance, and love of service of my batchmates by sharing with you all our experience as the Corps Sponsors 2020. A little background, I was a member of the previous Corps batch, Batch 2019. So I was already quite familiar with some of my would-be batchmates who were former cadets. They were already familiar with the Corps and were familiar with the formality of the system of the MSP. Meanwhile, the rest of the batch were fresh faces, green and culture shock, but still willing to keep up with the others. Perhaps it was out of curiosity. Perhaps they wanted to prove something to themselves. Or perhaps they already had the potential in them, waiting to be unleashed. But I think at that time, we all shared the same thought. Tama, ba tong pinasukan ko? It was a question that stuck around with us all throughout our term. During the seminar, where we grappled with info overload and sleepiness during the lectures. In the way that Nicole broke down when she learned of her designation as a Ideal Unit sponsor. You see, the Ideal Unit sponsor is a highly regarded position to represent the Ideal Unit, and she felt that she didn't have what it takes to be that sponsor. It was in the way that my knees shook and my voice trembled as I officially took on the weight of the mantle of the core sponsor as our term began. The question continued to surface after long ushering details when our toes were all pinched, the backs of our heels were all blistered, even as our stomachs were well satisfied with the after-program buffet meals. It was there, during the preparations of our coinciding activities back in March 2020. All were lined up, one after the other, but were ultimately cancelled due to lockdown. The question pressed on us at the beginning of the pandemic, when the world was bleak and we were left adrift, not knowing what to do. And it was in the back of everyone's mind as we began the remote learning setup, and most of all, as our term was extended for one more year, where we had to juggle for work amidst our academics, the household chores, the worsening political climate, and our deteriorating mental health, especially when some of us did not continue because of the difficulties of the long-distance learning. Tama ba to? Inasukat ko? And I say this on behalf of my batchmate, as someone who witnessed them grow, bloom, and blossom throughout our term. So, I say, tama. Tama itong pinasukat ko. Tama. Tama lang na pumasok ako sa core. We've all had our various reasons for getting into the core, and we've had our fair shares of trials and tribulations. But in the end, we stayed. Because at the end of the day, we knew it would be worth it. We realized that somewhere along the way, we grew. For one, despite Nicole's anxieties, she became the most lauded sponsor in our batch for dedication to duty and hard work. For all our hesitations, we stepped up and proved ourselves. Our Brittany came out of her shell, soft-spoken still, but armed with blunt truth and accuracy. Mika conquered her timidity over the training days. Shaska and Pat, our company sponsors, were backbones with the remote learning setup. Our staff sponsors, Karen, Rachel, and RC, were frontliners, especially Karen and Rachel, who were my nightly constants. Karen has mastered complete staff action, and Rachel, our dear, diligent, and dependable Rachel, now taking up a new responsibility. Ultimately, from the uncertainties, we adapted and learned. Despite the ngarag of the ushering details, we learned to hold our heads up high with confidence and bearing. Amidst all the hectic event preparations, we gained new experiences like exploring Recto, Divisoria, and for me it was Dango. We built and strengthened friendships with the cadet officers and the cadets, and made lasting sisterhood amongst ourselves. And during the pandemic, we learned to be open to various options, exploring, innovating, exercising our creativity. We became trailblazers as we worked tirelessly to bring our activities online, for boosting the morale of cadets became key. And despite the limitations of the remote learning setup, we were still able to manifest our love of service through our webinars and partnered relief drives. To my batchmates, I've said this time and again to all of you, we'll do so again, and not for the last time. Thank you, and I'm so proud of you for what you've accomplished during our term. You've made your mark on the core, and I just wanted to know that I'm very honored to be your core sponsor, and I'm ever so glad to have ever met you all. I hope that this isn't goodbye, and that we'll still be open to each other for years to come. And to the new batch, the Core Sponsors 2020, this is what I hope you come to at the end of your term. That eventually, you'll just as well think you've made the right decision in joining the Core. Maybe, in a year from now, balikan ko kayo. I'd want to hear from you. Tama ba yung pinasukan ninyo? Everyone, thank you for letting me have this moment. May you all have a good day, and as always, stay safe.
Awards and decorations are manifestations of heroic acts, display of skills, efficiency, competence, and excellence. The exemplary performance of the Corps sponsors 2020 during their term does not go unnoticed. Through the awards given to them, their selfless dedication to work is recognized. These medals represent their time of service to the Corps, the ROTC unit, and the university. Department of Military Science and Tactics, University of the Philippines, Diliman, Quezon City. General Orders Number 10, dated 25 September 2021. Pursuant to the provisions of subparagraph A1-5, paragraph 38, SOP Number 4, dated 5 June 2010, Headquarters, Philippine Army, the following awards are hereby announced, effective this date. For having displayed utmost devotion to duty and exemplary performance during their term in spite of the pressure and obligations as students of the university, the exemplary service medals are hereby awarded to Karen Claire L. Avenido, Patricia F. Baltazar, Francesca Helene C. Banyaria, Rachel A. Carlos, Julinard Marie T. Deloso, Maria Nicole M. Galang, Brittany G. Go, Rica Joy B. Laurente, and Micaela Marie B. Tambawan. For having been the most loyal, most obedient, and most helpful to the Corps sponsors during their term, the Loyalty Medal is hereby awarded to Rachel A. Carlos and Julinard Marie T. Deloso. For having the best attendance and least demerits, as well as exhibiting marked proficiency throughout the various activities during her term, thereby deserving worthy respect and praise, the Duty Medal is hereby awarded to Maria Nicole M. Galang. For having performed their duties and responsibilities in the most efficient and exemplary manner through their inherent resourcefulness and initiative, thereby accomplishing their tasks beyond normal expectations during their term, the Efficiency Medal is hereby awarded to Karen Claire L. Avenido and Rachel A. Carlos. For having obtained an exceptional general average of 1.24 while carrying a full load of 21 academic units in each semester, and exemplary performance of her duties as member of the Corps sponsors by consistently participating in the various activities during her term, the Honor Medal is hereby awarded to Karen Claire L. Avenido. For having shown outstanding leadership, who can best command the respect and confidence of her fellow sponsors and demonstrate a very marked degree of initiative and self-confidence in the solution of the problems with which she was confronted during her term, the Leadership Medal is hereby awarded to Julinard Marie T. Deloso. Signed, Colonel Jaime R. Datuin, General Staff Corps Infantry Philippine Army, Commandant and Department Head. We now proceed to the highlight of our program, the presentation of sponsors for the academic year 2021-2022, which is held in order to introduce the members of the Corps Sponsors 2022 to their units as well as to the UP community. Department of Military Science and Tactics, University of the Philippines, Diliman, Quezon City. As per General Orders Number 11 dated 25 September 2021, Appointment. The following named female students of the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and the University of the Philippines Open University, with their respective colleges indicated, are hereby appointed as members of the Corps Sponsors, University of the Philippines Diliman Reserve Officers Training Corps Unit for a term of 1 year and are further designated to positions indicated, effective this date. Pvt Rachelle G. Tampinco, Faculty of Information and Communication Studies, Field Artillery Unit Sponsor. Lanel Rose C. Cordova, College of Engineering, Infantry Unit Sponsor. Andrea Marie Nicole E. Ravelo, College of Education, Rayadillo Unit Sponsor. Alison B. Riosa, College of Social Sciences and Philosophy, Bravo Company Sponsor and Rescue Unit Sponsor. Mika Ella Denise F. Asuncion, National College of Public Administration and Governance, Alpha Company Sponsor. Julia Arsen L. Diego, College of Engineering, Core Civil Relations Sponsor. Soji N. Gragasin, Faculty of Information and Communication Studies, Core Logistics Sponsor. Rihanna Lay D. Clemente, College of Social Sciences and Philosophy, Core Intelligence Sponsor. Rixie Ann E. Larga, College of Mass Communication, Core Personal Sponsor. Cassandra P. Florencio, College of Social Sciences and Philosophy, Deputy Core Sponsor and Core Operations and Training Sponsor. Rachelle A. Carlos, College of Social Sciences and Philosophy, is hereby reappointed as a member of the Corps of Sponsors, University of the Philippines Diliman Reserve Officers Training Corps Unit for a term of 1 year effective this date. Signed, Colonel Jaime R. Datuin, General Staff Corps Infantry Philippine Army, Commandant and Department Head. The cadet officers are presently attaching the sponsor's pin to the lapel of their respective unit sponsors. The pin identifies the wearer as a member of the UP Corps of Sponsors. A sponsor's duties and responsibilities regarding ROTC involve that of the welfare of the cadets in her respective unit. Thus, she is the sponsor of her unit and not of the cadet officer. She serves as an advocate of her cadets, as well as a bridge between cadet and cadet officer to facilitate communication regarding training. Per General Orders Number 12, dated 25 September 2021. Section 1, Relief. Julinard Marie Tideloso of the College of Social Sciences and Philosophy, University of the Philippines Diliman is relieved as Corps Sponsor, University of the Philippines Diliman Reserve Officers Training Corps Unit, effective this date. Section 2, Designation. Rachelle A. Carlos of the College of Social Sciences and Philosophy, University of the Philippines Diliman, having been appointed as a member of the Corps of Sponsors, is designated as Corps Sponsor, University of the Philippines Diliman Reserve Officers Training Corps Unit for academic year 2021-2022, effective this date. Signed, Colonel Jaime R. Datuin, General Staff Corps Infantry Philippine Army, Commandant and Department Head. The outgoing Corps Sponsor, Ms. Julinard Marie Tideloso, shall now turn over the sponsor's flag to the new Corps Sponsor, Ms. Rachelle A. Carlos.
Sang-ayon sa isinasaad sa unang bahagi ng pangkalahatang kautusan bilang 12 ng kagawaran ng pagsasanay sa panghukbong katihan, agam at paghagi, na may paksang pagbibitiw ng pinuno ng pagkati ng mga lakambini, ako, si Julinard Marie Tideloso, ay nagbibitiw sa tungkulin bilang pinuno ng pagkati ng mga lakambini simula sa araw na ito. Aking tinupad at isinilang-alang ang lahat ng pananagutan, tungkulin at kapangyarihang kaugnay nito.
Sang-ayon sa isinasaad sa ikalawang bahagi ng pangkalahatang kautusan bilang 12 ng kagawaran ng pagsasanay sa panghukbong katihan, agham at paagi, na may paksang paghirang ng pinuno ng pangkatin ng mga lakambini, ako, si Rachelle A Carlos, ay tumatanggap sa tungkulin bilang pinuno ng pangkatin ng mga lakambini simula sa araw na ito. Aking tutuparin at isasaalang-alang ang lahat ng pananagutan, tungkulin, at kapangyarihang kaugnay nito.
To introduce our guest of honor, the Commandant and Department Head, Colonel Jaime R. Datuin, General Staff Corps, Infantry, Philippine Army.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am privileged to introduce our guest of honor and speaker on today's special occasion, the presentation of sponsors for Corps Year 2021-2022. Our guest of honor and speaker is presently consultant of the Department of Pathology and Patient Safety Committee Chair of the VRP Medical Center, formerly the Polymedic General Hospital. She is former chairman of the Department of Pathology, Deputy Medical Director, and Medical Director of the same center. She earned both her Bachelor of Science and the medical degrees at the University of the Philippines and finished the academic requirements of a master's degree in hospital administration at the Ateneo Graduate School of Business. She had postgraduate training in pathology at the University of the Philippines, Philippine General Hospital System, and is certified with the Philippine Board of Pathology. She was a fellow in general and renal pathology at the University of Singapore as well, as fellow in pediatric pathology at the Babies Hospital, Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center, New York. As an awardee, she attended the 2006 Outstanding Career Executive Officers Study Program at Queensland University of Technology, Brisbane, Australia. Our guest of honor pioneered renal pathology in the Philippines. She helped set up the Anatomic Pathology Division of the Philippine Children's Medical Center and the Lung Center of the Philippines and organized that of the National Kidney and Transplant Institute. She was Department Manager of Pathology at Lung Center of the Philippines. At the NKTI, she was appointed Executive Officer of the Department of Laboratory Medicine, Deputy Executive Director for Administrative Services, Concurrent Chairman, Department of Laboratory Medicine, Deputy Executive Director for Medical Services, and finally, Executive Director until her retirement from government service in 2013. She was NKTI's Quality Management Representative and TQM Chairman, responsible for the ISO 901 and 2000 and ISO 901 2008 certification program, enabling NKTI to be the first government hospital to be ISO certified. She was an instructor, then an assistant professor and senior lecturer at the University of the Philippines College of Medicine, and the lecturer also of the laboratory management at the Ateneo Graduate School of Business as well. She is former president of the Philippine Society of Pathologists, Philippine Society for Quality in Healthcare, Philippine Council for Quality Assurance in Clinical Laboratories, Philippine Blood Coordinating Council, past Counselor of the International Academy of Pathology, Asia Pacific Association of Societies of Pathologists, Philippine Society of Oncology, former chairman of the Philippine Board of Pathology, former board member of the Philippine National Red Cross Rizal Chapter, Charter Board member of the Fetus as a Patient Institute, Charter Co-Chair of the Philippine Private Sector Diagnostics Consortium, and former members of the Central Philippines University Corporation. She is life member of the Philippine Medical Association, Quezon City Medical Society, and the UP Medical Alumni Society, and the Transplantation Society of the Philippines. She was the PMA representative to the Hospital Accreditation Commission at the Department of Health. She was also the overall Vice Chair of the National Technical Working Group for the implementation of the National Strategic Plan for the National Health Laboratory Network. Our guest of honor has numerous awards and recognition from the NKTI and Department of Health, Philippine Society of Pathologists, Philippine Society of Oncology, Philippine Blood Coordinating Council, Philippine Society for Quality in Healthcare, Philippine Medical Association, Central Philippine University, and notably the Outstanding Career Executive Officer Award of the Career Executive Service Board, Philippine Civil Service. Our guest of honor was appointed core sponsor of the UPROTC unit for the school year 1966 to 1967. On October 20, 1966, where only 28 sponsors were selected from 63 nominees. And as an example of how the Corps is life-changing, it was there when she met the Corps Commander, who became her husband and have a family with. Please join me in welcoming our guest of honor and speaker, Dr. Eileen Riego Javier.
Honored guests, Commandant Colonel Jaime Datuin, officers and sponsors, ladies and gentlemen. I am deeply honored by the invitation extended to me to address you during this virtual presentation of sponsors. I never imagined in my life that a virtual presentation of sponsors would come to be. I remember how our 28-member Corps of sponsors rehearsed for the review and presentation of sponsors in honor of the UP Board of Regents 55 years ago. We wore our first ever Filipino-inspired uniform designed by Ben Perales with great elan. Crowds streamed the parade grounds to witness the occasion. But today, I will concentrate on our sponsors. And I would like to congratulate both our outgoing and incoming sponsors for having been chosen to be a part of the Department of Military Science and Tactics, assisting in the conduct of its affairs. To the new sponsors, facing the new year ahead, I would like to share 4 key points on being a sponsor as you begin with the end in mind. First, your position as a sponsor is a position of honor. Many women achievers and leaders before you have graced the Corps of sponsors. I would like to believe that their short stay with the Corps was a factor for their notable successes. That is a record of which we may well be proud. Secondly, your position as a sponsor is a position of leadership. Our assistant commandant then, Captain Juan Sanchez, told us that leaders are made, not born. You will learn, as we learned, command responsibility, principles of organization, order, discipline, flexibility, teamwork, human resource management, networking, and effective communication, including being media savvy. During our term, the core of sponsors, became the cover feature for the Sunday Times Magazine, as well as in its centerfold. I can attest to the training and the preparation for positions of leadership that sponsors receive in the course of their duty and their term. Training leaders like you is, after all, the DMST's contribution to good citizenship. Thirdly, your position as a sponsor is a position of service. Many of your activities will be in support of the Corps of Cadets. You will also be involved in social work, such as blood donation services. Fourthly, your position as a sponsor is a position of dignity. Wear your uniforms with pride. Comport yourselves well in any occasion, even in crisis situations. May honor, leadership, service, and dignity be your core values as sponsors. In the end, you will find that all your experiences in the Corps will serve you well in the future. As we face an uncertain future amid a pandemic, never in our history has there been a greater need for wise, courageous, and enlightened leadership than at the present. And it is to you that we must look for that leadership. So today is an auspicious moment to mark that challenge. I challenge you to be heroes of our time, selflessly working with a sense of nationhood and genuine love for our country, putting priority on the common good. Be heroes for peace, not violence, for unity, not division, for sincerity and truth, not mental reservation. Like a good soldier, focus on your task or duty until you please your commanding officer. Like a winning athlete, be disciplined. Work within rules until you attain your goal. Like a successful farmer, work hard until you reap a harvest. We all have a shared vision for success. The path is rocky and twisted, but the world is waiting for that special contribution that each of us was born to make. So, my dear sponsors, make a difference. We all have the extraordinary coded within us, waiting to be released. So all of us then release that energy, that extraordinary within, and follow your heart, your dream, your vision. Congratulations, mabuhay. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rego Javier, for your very inspiring words. At this point, may we request our guest of honor and speaker to induct the UP Corps of Sponsors 2022.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. Having been duly appointed as a member of the UP Corps of Sponsors 2022,
as a member of the UP Corps of Sponsors 2022,
I do solemnly pledge
I do solemnly pledge
I will assume all the duties and responsibilities of my position
I will assume all the duties and responsibilities of my position,
that I will abide by and uphold its general orders and policies
that I will abide by and uphold its general orders and policies,
that I will contribute to my best efforts
that I will contribute my best efforts,
that I will serve
and that I will serve
the best interest of the UP Corps of Sponsors.
The best interest of the UP Corps of Sponsors.
I impose this obligation upon myself voluntarily,
I impose this obligation upon myself voluntarily,
without mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
without mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, and I wish you all the success.
Ladies and gentlemen, the UP Corp Sponsors 2022. Please rise for the singing of the UP Corp Sponsors hymn and UP Naming Mahal.
From places near or far away, we come and we unite. Hail to the core, we proudly say, for its principles we fight. For it has stood the test of time, and victory made it strong. So in our creeds and oaths of life, we remember this our song. O UP Corps of Sponsors, our nation elders be, loyal and true forevermore. Our hearts say hail to thee. May God's grace shine on thee. O UP Corps of Sponsors, our nation elders be, loyal and true forevermore. Our hearts say hail to thee. May God's grace shine on Malay
This concludes the University of the Philippines Diliman Reserve Officers Training Corps presentation of sponsors 2022. In behalf of the UP Department of Military Science and Tactics, the UP Corps of Cadets, and the UP Corps of Sponsors, we thank you all for being here with us today. Maraming salamat po. Mabuhay kayong lahat at manatiling laging ligtas.